Once I figured it out, it's been up. Am I all base? Is that not the narrative?
That's the narrative.
Once I figured it out,
yeah.
Once I figured this money thing out, or once I got this hack,
It's to the moon.
it's been up and stuck ever since.
Yeah, nah.
That's the narrative.
Nah.
But it's like, no, that's not how it works. But is that not the narrative, bro?
is, yep.
I figured out these 3 things.
Yep.
I got this 3-step formula, and this happened, and I've never had another challenge in life again.
Right.
It's like, nah.
That ain't it.
That ain't it.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, my friends? It's Marco Russell here, and welcome to the Strategic Scale Show, Confessions of a Recovering Workaholic. So on this show, we talk about how do you build a business that runs without you, without running you in the ground. And we talk about how do you win in all areas, not just in business and financially, but as a parent, as a father, as a wife, from a spiritual standpoint, from a mental standpoint, from an emotional standpoint. We cover it all so you can actually create holistic success in your business and your life. Let's get into the show.
All right, bro. So we back at it with another one.
We back at it.
Today, bro, I think my thought process around today's conversation is I've heard about betrayal. I've heard about your leadership, and it's all built off of integrity, trust, honesty. And I think about those different things and what does a leader look like, and just getting to see you in different lights. When I think about, you talked about the stories about you being in the streets and everything like that, is there a moment or was there a moment where you felt like betrayal was a thing in the streets, and how does that correlate to business?
So I think in the streets we don't necessarily use the term betrayal, and it's like a lack of loyalty, right? That's a thing. So it is a thing. So it was a thing,
right,
but we just called it something different.
Okay.
Just like it was entrepreneurship, but we just called it something different.
Right.
So I think in business it's 100% the same. It's because a lot of relationships in business are it'll seem like it's genuine relationships, but you've seen it. But in reality, most of it is just transactional. Yeah. And if it's not something to be gained from the relationship, you will begin to see people ain't who they say they are.
Yeah.
And because a lot of people say, oh, that's my bro, that's my sis, that's my, this is in the third. But it's if it ain't transactional and if it ain't nothing in it for them, then is it really
real
what it is? Yeah, 100%.
No, that makes sense. And even when you think about business now, have you felt betrayed in business? Because I remember you talking about you used to feel and had the mantra of this is a family. You know what I'm saying? So have you ever had the feeling of feeling betrayed? And what that look like? What did that feel like?
So I've had the feeling of betrayal.
Okay.
I think the interesting thing is through therapy, Dr. Kurt was telling me one time, he was disloyalty to you. He was disloyalty to you is betrayal, right? So he was if somebody doesn't show up how you think they should show up, it hits as betrayal to you. So he was something I offer you to explore is just redefining your definition of loyalty. Because he was because in my mind, it's either black or white.
Right.
It's either you either loyal or you're not.
Right.
And what he was explaining to me is that's not the case for everybody.
Okay.
So it may hit like betrayal to me, but it don't necessarily, and it may feel like betrayal, but it don't necessarily means that it's betrayal. Sometimes it just could be somebody just doing what's in their best interest, and that was their intention from the get-go. I just read into it and thought it was more. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. Because even when I think about, you've been talking about, even in the Bible it talks about guard your heart above all things. So, when you think about that, has your heart for business, the betrayal that you had before, how has that shaped you into the person that you are today?
I think it's made me, in some instances, more hesitant to rock with certain people at certain levels. Because I just kind of see how people show up. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? People, especially in the business world, people it's similar to the streets. People say stuff. People talk a good game. People will see you at events. Right. It's kind of like in the streets. You might see people at the club. And in the club, people drinking, kicking it. Hey man, we need to do business together. Blah 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 blah. Let's connect. It's all good, right? It's the same thing at like a conference or something like that. You see people at the conference, everybody together. Hey man, we need to get together and do this, blah 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 blah. But after it, don't nobody follow up, don't nobody connect, and it's almost like it just sounded good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it just sounded good for the moment. So just being aware that a lot of these relationships are legit, just transactional in the business context. It's like if you weren't who you were. If you weren't who you are, would people still rock with you? Who would still rock with you if you aren't who you are?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Because it's kind of like you got this, we talked about that bunch of the bros, it's like you got this, your true identity and your false identity. So your false identity is like all the stuff you've created throughout your life. So like through your success, through your challenges, through business, money you made, like this whole thing that you create, this persona you've created. And that's the persona that people really rock with. But it's like, if you're not that no more, who still rocks with you?
Right. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Because even like, you've built like the big teams and everything like that, and even like the people that you really rock with, because maybe it may have started business, but you've actually built a relationship there. Like when you think about the transition of like, even if we no longer work together or we part ways or we're not doing business together anymore, like how do you is there a balance of like, all right, we can't do business together no more, but we can still be cool? Like how have you navigated those type of relationships?
So with me, just because we don't do business together don't mean I don't still rock with you.
Right.
As long as it ended right.
Okay.
Like if it don't end right, I don't have an issue with you leaving or whatever. Just you leave right.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
What's right?
So it's like if it's clear, if it wasn't no issue, we ain't had no. Maybe you just went off and started doing. I don't have an issue with you saying, okay, I feel like I just need to be doing something else, and we part ways for whatever reason. Like we good. Like I don't have anybody that I can think of on the team was like we parted ways, and it's like no beef. They might think I assume they might think it's an issue or whatever, but it's like, if somebody sees a better opportunity or they need to step out or they growing into a new area, like I don't got no issue with that.
Do you, because it sounds like offboarding, more than anything. Like, because I even think about like the different relationships and like who's not with the team anymore. And it's just like, how have like offboarding conversations or how just conversations behind closed doors, how do those not just make you feel, but like how have those conversations been? Because like I know how tight you are with certain people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like how has that been?
So it depends on the conversation. Like a lot of the conversation, some of the conversations I don't necessarily have. Usually the conversation is had with whoever's the leader of that particular department.
Okay.
So if it's like a coach or something like that, it's typically going to be a conversation had with Dre. Or if it's operations, which we haven't really laid off anybody. Well, we haven't parted ways with anybody in operations, but it will be with B. If it's in marketing, typically it's gonna be with me, or if it's in sales, something like that. But with me, if it's an offboarding conversation, I'm just a straight shooter, pretty much. Just like, hey, we're going in a different direction. Appreciate everything, and then we just part ways.
Yeah.
It's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, because that's what I'm thinking to myself. Like for me, I'm big on relationships, and I'm like, a lot of the people I get close to or tight to, I get almost tied to like their success.
Yeah.
Especially if they're helping the infrastructure of the team.
Yeah.
So it's like, even growing out of that, it's like, even we had the conversation about some people not having the entrepreneurial mindset, and they're just used to a job, which is cool, we ain't got no problem with that. So like when you think about, I guess, conversations where, I speak for myself, where maybe it may feel like betrayal to somebody else, how do you navigate those conversations? Do you navigate them conversations, or like,
Well, so one thing I had to learn is like other people's feelings aren't my responsibility, right? So it's like I'm only in charge of like how I'm only in charge of communicating something, and how I communicate it. I ain't in control of like how they receive it though.
Yeah.
Because like people gonna receive stuff based on their own filter.
Right.
So it's like you can say something you mean well and you plan it out and you say it as nice as you possibly can, but it's like, how they receive it is going to be 100% based on them.
Give me an example of a situation where you may have parted ways and it wasn't technically on good terms, but like how'd you go about handling the conversation?
So it's meaning me specifically let them go or somebody else?
You specifically.
So Me specifically,
Because I hear you talk about layoff or like letting someone go. Like, and is there a difference?
so I give you an example. So one guy at one time we had built our sales team up. I think we probably had like 8 people on the sales team, 8, 9 people or something on the sales team. I wasn't running the sales team. Somebody else was running the sales team. And the lady who was running the sales, I won't say her name or nothing, right? But she was leading the sales team, and our top salesperson, they were like beefing and they was like bumping heads or whatever.
Okay.
So it got to a point where it was a lot of like complaining going on, and it would the sales team had just got like toxic.
Okay.
Where it was calling, biting the heads off of the SDRs because they weren't setting them with quality people, complaining about leads. It just got super toxic. So she ended up making a decision to, let him go. So me being the CEO, and I put her in leadership. I had to support the decision.
All right.
So he didn't agree with the decision. He reached out. We had a conversation. I'm like, well, I'm supporting the decision. This is where we are. Here's what's going on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, long story short, we end up parting ways. We had been working together for a minute, but we ended up parting ways, and it was just like, what it was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Stick with it, and that's big. That's big because it's like you put someone in position, and then it's like, I don't know if this is necessarily a good idea. So it's like relinquishing power in that role. You know what I'm saying? Have you done that before?
For the to my like just relinquishing power.
I don't really see that being an issue. Like, let's continue to move forward with this, or let's see how it go. You know what I mean?
Well, it had been like an ongoing conversation for sure.
Okay.
So it had been an ongoing conversation, and I lead with benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
So it had been an ongoing conversation, and it just got to a point where it was like, all right, I support the decision based on what I'm seeing and what's going on.
Yeah. Because I think about it for myself when we're having these type of conversations. Is like the personal tie. You know what I'm saying? Like, who have you had to become today to like let go of some of the relationships that were maybe not like pushing you forward? Like, who have you become? Like, what does that look like? And like, what are some of the things that you've had to detach from?
I think one thing I had to detach from is approval, like wanting the approval of people, or wanting. So I heard this guy who he was one of the founders of HubSpot, and he said something powerful. He said, what's the word? Not concession. What's the word when everybody agrees? When you want everybody agreement. Let me find the word real quick. I think it's gonna be super helpful.
Okay.
Let me see. There it is. He said, consensus, this is one of the founders of HubSpot. He said, consensus is the enemy of greatness.
Okay, one more time.
So consensus is the enemy of greatness.
Okay.
And basically, consensus, the definition of consensus is a general agreement. Agreement in judgment or opinion reached by a group. So wanting everybody to agree is the enemy of greatness. So like this, you wanting approval, and sometimes they can go into like people pleasing, right? So you wanting everybody to agree, you want everybody to be happy with the decision. And the reality is, sometimes everybody ain't gonna be happy with the decision. Like you can hear everybody out, but at the end of the day, you as the leader, you as the founder, you as the CEO, are probably gonna have to make the decision that you feel is best, and that everybody may not agree with it.
Bro, I'm glad you said that. I think that's good because I even go back to the instance where we were talking about large events and like we want to do this big, and like you casted the vision so well on like where the ship was going. And for me, I felt like that there was a drop off where the conversation wasn't communicated effectively enough to like know that, hey, we're gonna transition some things. Like we're not necessarily gonna like try to build huge rooms anymore or stadiums.
Yeah.
And like I remember that was such a fuzzy phase for me because it's like I trust the captain. I'm not quite sure the direction that we're going anymore because he said the sales are going this way. But based off of how we're doing this, what has kind of been said on the deck and what's like happening now, it's like this don't look like where we started. I think that in that phase, if you remember that specifically, do you know how you transitioned it? Because I kind of caught on. I don't think that there was like the best communication early on, but like I just kind of caught on. Do you know if you kind of came to grip as far as like bringing the team up to speed of like, hey, this is the new direction that we're going? Like, what was that process and that mindset during that time?
I think the biggest thing is like I just started to have a continuous like uneasiness of like how things were going. It's like, yeah, things were getting bigger, things were looking greater on the surface level, but it was like, it feels like we're moving further and further from the true purpose of what we're supposed to be doing.
Okay.
Because it's like, all right, because like I know, because initially one was like, all right, cool, the goal is to get to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium and well, first of all, State Farm,
Right.
and then the Mercedes-Benz, right? And then it's like, why?
Okay.
Right, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's like we want to do bigger events,
Yeah.
but why though? Just because we're doing bigger events, are we having bigger impact?
Right.
Because the event is bigger. It's like you might be getting in front of more people, it might look more successful, but are we really impacting more people?
Right.
At the end of the day. At the end of the day. So it's like we have 80,000 people in the arena or whatever. It's like, did we truly have impact though?
Right.
Because we found that in the smaller events, we actually have greater impact from what we've seen. But so it's like, do we want to run these bigger events, have multi-million-dollar budgets to pull these events off just for it to look good? Or do we really want to create true, real impact?
That's real. That's real.
And then it's like, if we want to go bigger, now it becomes a true numbers game of now, for us to fill that up with 80,000 people or 50,000 people or whatever, we got to have X amount of people go through that. So now we're just going through all the numbers just for the sake of hitting this vanity metric, which is filling this thing up.
Yeah, and you correct me if I'm wrong, because what I'm hearing is like, okay, the uneasiness shifted the direction of where we were going. Even going back to the question is like, how did you navigate that season? And like, where did the communication shift to, if it was Zoom calls or if it was meetings? Because from my end, it's like I just kind of caught on and I just filled in where I fit in.
Yeah.
So how did you communicate that to the rest of the team to make sure, or did you just like move that way and then just like, hey, y'all come?
So great question. So I think one of the things especially from your side specifically, because the first time I rolled it out was like on the all hands meeting.
Okay.
And you don't normally get on the all hands meeting.
Right.
So I think that's one way the communication wasn't as clear across the board, because you weren't part of the conversation. The initial conversation was like, okay, here's kind of how we shifting things, right? So I think that's one way.
Okay.
And then you're not the only one. A few other people was like, okay, because people was excited about this, and the third, but it's like, it's one thing of what it looks like on one end, but it's a one thing of like what it really is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to just be like, this is the decision we got to make.
And roll with it.
And roll with it.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you still rolling, then we rolling, and if not, you know,
Understood.
it's understood.
Understood. Yeah, because I think and going back to that leadership perspective, like when and how do you go about letting people in on the parts that they need to know on a need to know basis versus like, all right, you just got to trust the process and this is how we gonna go.
Yeah.
Like, how do you go from not even big picture to little picture, but it's just like, how much information do you let people in on the team to kind of like continue to steer the ship appropriately? And I wouldn't say right or wrong, but like appropriately.
So I think it depends on the role, right? So it's like we had this thing called cascading communication. So we have our strategic planning call with leadership. So me, Dre, B, and then from there we get clear on, okay, here's what we're going to communicate. Here's what we're communicating to the team, if anything. Yeah. So it's like the high level communication, here's what we all need to know across the board from a leadership standpoint. And then it's like, okay, who on the team needs to know certain things, and then who doesn't. And this would just be good to know information, but it doesn't really move the needle when it comes to their specific role.
All right.
That makes sense?
That makes sense. So because it makes me ask and wonder, like, how would you describe yourself as a leader?
Out of what? Give me the category.
How would you describe like your leadership style in regards to business versus at home? How about that?
How would I describe
your leadership style?
There some categories?
No category. Like
Alright.
if you were to, because leadership is broad, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But like even when you think about vocal or like you're very articulate in the way that you break down every single detail.
Yeah.
So it's like in business and then at home, like could you describe the differences, similarities and differences like with your leadership style?
How would I describe my leadership in business and at home? Hey, real quick, I know we're going deep right now. However, if you're watching this and you're a business owner, you want to take your business to the next level, you want to scale your business and have a business that can run without you, without running you in the ground, and you want to generate more leads, more clients, or you want to put the systems in place so your business can run like a well-oiled machine, make sure you check in the description section of this video. We got a ton of free resources for you. Go ahead and get those right now. Stop right now. Go ahead and get those resources, and let's get right back into the show. So it's interesting. So I think you go through different phases of leadership, right? I don't think you always have a leadership. I don't think there's a leadership style that you're already in. We're always in. So for example, goes back to the founder at HubSpot. When he talked about, so and you'll hear this, people talk about like, you got peacetime CEOs and then you got wartime CEOs. So it's like, are you a CEO when things are just all good, peacetime, or when things get challenging, wartime, and we need to do other things? Right. So I think it varies, right? So it's tough, especially on the home front, because I don't know. That's a really good question. How would I describe myself? I think it's tough to decide based on category. I mean, based out of category. So if I was to give you an answer though, I would say strategic. I would say clear on when I'm clear on the vision. So of course, visionary leader.
Right.
So visionary and then strategic, direct as much as possible, because that comes off differently to different people. And action oriented. So I'm not just like visionary and just talking about it, but I'm like leading from the front.
Yeah. How we can
doing it as well. Yeah.
Okay. Because now even that transition of like the team and business, and we talk about the family at the crib, because you got MJ in boxing, you got Rapai, and like you got all of these different, and even talking about Quay, you know, a big win that you had a couple weeks ago. Like when you think about that type of leadership, like what does that look like, and what does that feel like? Like even with that win, if you want to talk about that win with Quay, but what does that look like from that style of leadership? Because you lead from the front, you lead by example. Even talking to V, like what does that look like? Because V is very vocal and you're extremely direct. So it's like, what does that look like at home? Because we kind of see it in business, we see it on Zoom, but like behind closed doors, what does that look like?
So I think oftentimes, I can speak for me specifically. I think what I do from a business standpoint is not the same like at home. So sometimes I forget where I read this at, but sometimes you almost gotta like hit the knob on the home front. Okay. So like on business, I'm on podcasts and stages and content and those type of things. On the home front, I'm more, so on business, CEO hat, right?
Right.
On the home front, if I was to look at titles, I would even say Vanessa is probably more CEO on the home front, right? And I'd probably say I'm more. It's kind of an interesting balance, right?
Yeah.
So how I show up on the business front is typically different from the home front, because typically at the house, when I ain't in the office, I'm there chilling, but I don't necessarily got to do as much execution, so to speak, on the business side.
Right.
It's still, and I would probably say co-CEO with both of us, because it's still painting vision, reminding of the vision, reminding of the expectations, making sure the support is there, making the necessary adjustments.
Yep.
So all that's business and on the home front. Having the necessary conversations as much as possible. So I think they still tie together.
Right.
in different areas in different ways.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Because I think what I'm trying to get is more of the contrast in. Because it seems like you were going down that avenue where it's just like business is different from, homestead, where I can
100%.
take the CEO hat off. And then, like, I guess I'm asking is like, what does that look like? Because it sounds like it's chilling, having fun with the kids, watching WWE.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then, like, what does that look like with Quay? That doesn't say in the crib. And then, what does that look like with V, with her work schedule and different things like that? So I guess I'm curious as like, because leadership looks different for everybody. So it's just like showing, and I think you were onto something when you said that she runs more of the household from a CEO standpoint.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I want you to go from there because I think you were making a good point. So it's like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so if I was to really quantify it, I would say if we was to put it in titles, right, it would probably be her more, I think we kind of collaborate on the CEO side. I would even say she probably even takes more of the lead there, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. I would probably be more CFO kind of type situation from the finance side. And then us communicating on the vision, what we're doing, and so forth, as much as possible, and then making sure we stay aligned with so much going on her side, so much going on my side, us staying in line as much as possible, and just being willing to be fluid.
Yeah.
Just like in business is fluid. Things happen, you gotta be willing to adjust. Yeah. And then just like on the family front, things happen. Kids are getting older, so we got to be willing to adjust as well.
Man, you got your good thing at the crib, bro.
Does that make sense?
It's less that you have to do and that you have to worry about. Because I think in like a toxic masculinity type of way, it's just like, I got to lead at the house. I got to be in control. I got to do this. I got to, X, Y, and Z. So that's why I'm saying, from having a wife perspective, being single, it's just like, well, what do I not have to do, and how can the actual functioning of the family still run, and I still lead from the way that I lead. So I'm just curious, and I'm wondering if anybody from the back end can see that, because like I said, what you post, you give us a sneak peek of what that looks like, but we don't always get to see like what's happening behind closed doors.
That's a good point. So like on the family front, I don't necessarily have to, for the lack of a better term, I don't necessarily have to think as much, right? Because some stuff I don't necessarily have to worry about, right? On the business side, I still have to think, but also I got an amazing, and that just really speaks to an amazing team. I got an amazing team on the family side, right? And I feel like we're just a dynamic duo. And then I have an amazing team on the business side as well. So a lot of stuff I don't have to think about on the business side either. I can just focus more on my zone.
Yeah, of genius.
Yeah, on my zone of genius.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense because I'm big on watching and seeing what happens. Like I said, even from the perspective of like betrayal and different things like that. Like even leading that back into the family side, is there, because I know as parents, you have an expectation for your kids and the way that you want them to grow up and the way that you want them to do certain things. Has there ever been a sense of betrayal in the household where you might have felt some type of way, maybe had a conversation later, but have you felt betrayal in the crib at any point?
So there's been times where I think it probably and I probably received it as betrayal.
For sure.
Just because of just unmet expectations, right?
Yeah.
So I think sometimes I think that's really what it boils down to, just the betrayal feeling the betrayal just based on unmet expectations. And then so now I had to learn it's okay to have expectations, but it's the attachment to the expectations is where the issues happen.
That makes sense.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. So even because we've been talking about it, utilizing it a lot throughout the episode, what do you feel like betrayal is to you?
Betrayal to me is when somebody flips, like for lack of a better term, when somebody flips up, like if we're locked in, we got clear expectations of each other, we're doing whatever the thing is, and it's like you cross me out, you cross me or something like that in a negative type way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. And even as I'm reading the definition, and you mentioned loyalty earlier, it says betrayal means an act of deliberate disloyalty. Mm-hmm. And even when we think about deliberate, like there might be some instances where I didn't mean to do that, or they just didn't meet the expectation. Not that it's betrayal, but it can come off as that. So like, how you go about regulating that as a man, as a father, as a husband, as a CEO, regulating like loyalty, like the feelings versus the facts.
I think the biggest thing that I just learned through therapy is like just my attachment, just my attachment to it. So it's like me. So one of my mantras is. So it's actually, I can actually tell you specifically.
There we go.
So one of my mantras is, let me pull up my journal, and I read it pretty much almost every morning. One of them is, let's see. If people betray me, that is their penalty to pay. No one can hurt me. So it's like me being attachment. So if the betrayal does happen, I mean, that ain't on me to deal with, and me to just be detached from it.
Yeah.
I can't just be who I am because that's who I am, not because that's how I expect other people to be.
Yeah. And that's good because it's like for us as men, sometimes we don't necessarily let things go. We just move on.
Yeah.
And I think about even the healing process, like we talked about it before, like sometimes we just heal by getting money or hitting the next goal or whatever the case may be. So it's like when you think about that disconnect in that regard, it's like, what does that look like? Not just from a business standpoint, but your relationships now. How do you, like, where's because you talked about your advisory board before, like what does it look like right now in regards to like not just your advisory board, but like how do you gauge new friends, relationships that come into your world and your atmosphere?
So I was telling my barber yesterday, right? We was having a conversation, and not yesterday, 2 days ago, and I was like, man, no, it was yesterday. I was like, to me, friend is a sacred word.
I agree.
So I don't just throw the word friend around just because I know somebody.
Yeah.
So like me and MJ was at an event one time. He was younger, and people know me from seeing me out on stages and all that. He was like, man, you got a lot of friends. And I was like, no, I don't have a lot of friends. A lot of people know who I am. I speak, I'm cordial. That don't mean we're friends, right? So we can be colleagues,
right?
We can be peers, but it don't necessarily mean we're friends.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. Like that's that relational intelligence.
Yeah.
Like just being clear on where we are, and I think that'll help eliminate some of the unmet expectations as well.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm very careful, even more now, of like who I rock with. Like even to my house, bro. It's like I can count the people who've been in my house on my hand.
Right.
On one hand, and you being one of them.
Right.
Right. So yeah, just being very conscious of it, because again, a lot of stuff is like Hollywood.
For sure.
Whereas like people in Hollywood, we act like we're colleagues, we act like we're friends because we all do the same work, but it ain't really that.
Yeah.
Social media friends, these ain't like real friends.
Right.
These are based on certain type situations. So I'm very careful about that, and I even had to talk to MJ and them about being careful of the term friend, because if I call somebody friend and family are synonymous for me. If I rock with you like that enough to call you a friend, I rock with you like, as family.
Yeah.
I can bring my kids around you, that type of thing.
So do you think success kind of blinds us a little bit to the way that we treat people?
Yeah, for sure.
And what does that look like in regards to like, have you ever gotten like Hollywood, big head on the way up, even early on, starting to like first start getting money and everything like that within this realm? Like you ever got the big head?
So, I mean, unless it's a blind spot for me, I can't say I have.
Okay.
Somebody else may say differently, and I'd love to hear it, but I would love to, somebody reach out. Like if I have, like, it might be a blind spot to me. I think one of the things that's great for me, that has been a blessing for me, is that when I started in this particular realm getting money, I wasn't new to getting money. You know what I'm saying? So it was like I was getting money. I've always knew how to get money.
Yeah.
Right. And I never even wanted to be famous. Like my goal was never to be an influencer. My goal was never to be on stages. I always wanted to be like the behind the scenes type guy. Right. So it was like, So, when somebody reaches out to me, they're trying to get me on their podcast, they want to get me on their stage, all those different type of things. Typically, if we can make it work, I'm gonna do it because I always want to be that person who, like, even somebody who's like an up and comer, so to speak. If they wanted to get me on their thing, we'll do it. Like when I'm out and about, somebody want to take pictures or whatever, somebody meet me, see me, they want to take pictures. I mean, you done seen it. Like that I can remember. I've never been like, hey, hey, I'm too busy. This ain't a good time. Blah 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 blah. Never that. Even MJ pointed out to me one time. He was like, man, it's interesting that you stop and when somebody sees you and acknowledges and want to talk to you, you stop and like talk to them and take pictures. He was like, most people, at your level, wouldn't do that.
Right.
So MJ pointed that out to me. He was 9 or 10. So it's like that I can recall. I haven't. But again, it could be a blind spot too.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, I think that's my biggest thing that I wanted to kind of get out of that. Even talking about betrayal today, thinking about what leadership looks like and like having that, I guess, outside perspective looking on the inside. I think it's super dope to kind of see the different perspectives because I love the way that I can see you from the outside looking in and then actually having the relationship, the conversations that we have behind closed doors.
Yeah.
I think it's super beneficial for other people to know more about that. So even, let me just ask you this with the transition of the show, like how is this opening you up and like even feedback, not even feeling some type of way, but like how is this opening you up from a different standpoint of like just business?
So I think for me is the feedback that I'm getting from individuals, and I just think that we're in a space, just in the world as a whole, of like people want authenticity. People want the real stuff. People want to hear the real conversations because a lot of stuff is just like highlight reels.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? People ain't. What are your innermost thoughts? What are your innermost challenges? What's that innermost dialogue? So people can actually see like, dang, I'm not alone. Dang, I'm not weird. It ain't something wrong with me, right? And it's even because a lot of times we got to just wear this mask of like you don't have challenges, you don't have doubts, you don't have this. It's like you're untouchable. You're like, it's like nah, like you have your kryptonite. Superman had kryptonite, right? So it's like, what's your kryptonite? So it's like a lot, but again, we don't talk about it. And entrepreneurship is just made to be so glamorous.
Yeah.
Well, people don't really get a full, real picture of what it looks like, and the holistic part of it. Because like prosperity isn't just finance; it's like wholeness.
Okay.
So it's like finance. It's the health, it's the relational, it's the mental, the emotional. It's all the things, right? So it ain't just finances, but we've been led to believe that prosperity is financial, but it's actually the wholeness. So I think it's a time now where we got to bring a holistic perspective to what it really looks like.
Yeah, no, that's good, and that resonate with me because it's like we go back to that. If I just get money, like all my problems gonna go away.
Yeah.
So
And it just magnifies it.
That's
right.
it.
So I talked about it at Brunch of the Bros. I was like, money is like if you ever go get a used tire. We talked about it. You go get a tire put on your car and they put the water on, they squirt it or whatever, and then you see the bubbles and it shows you where leaks are in the tire. It's like money is like that. It's gonna just reveal your holes.
Yeah.
Right. So it's crazy. I talked to a lady yesterday on a coaching call, and she was like, "You're the first person that I've ever heard talk about how you don't gotta sacrifice family and stuff like that to build a business." She was like, I've never had money and time at the same time. She was like, I've had money, but I didn't have time. And she was like, then I had time, but I didn't have money. And she was like, I've never been able to have both. And she was like, you're the first person that showed me that you can actually have both. You know what I'm saying? She was like, one day I was talking to my son, and she had accomplished something. And she was like, she told her son, she was like, hey, isn't it pretty cool that mom was able to accomplish this? And he was like, no, it ain't cool, because you always working.
Dagger.
She was like, she was gutted.
Yeah, oh man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So being able to show this, and again, we ain't on here like Marco got it all figured out. It's like I'm figuring it out every day. I miss it sometimes. Right. But us being able to talk about it, and I think that's power, and I think it's refreshing because I don't really see it being done. It's always just the accolades and yeah, I had some challenges before, but now it's kind of all. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of times it's like, yeah, I came from this.
Right.
Yeah, I had these challenges, but once I figured it out, it's been up. Am I off base?
Bruh,
Is that not the narrative?
that's the narrative.
Once I figured it
100%.
out,
Yeah.
once I figured this money thing out, or once I got this hack,
It's to the moon.
it's been up and stuck
Yeah.
ever since.
Yeah, nah.
That's the narrative.
Nah.
But it's like, no, that's not how it works. But is that not the narrative,
That
bro?
is, yep.
I figured out these 3 things.
Yep.
I got this 3-step formula, and this happened, and I've never had another challenge in life again.
Right.
It's like, nah,
That ain't it.
That ain't it.
Yeah.
that ain't it.
So even with that, where is a season that you may have struggled personally that you feel comfortable sharing? And then, like, what was the process of getting out of that, or what was the aha moment coming out of that season?
Bro, like, I mean, I've experienced struggles in all areas, right?
Yeah.
I've experienced struggles in all areas. I'm a adamant student, and then I think the biggest aha moment for me is trusting God, and not just believing in God, but actually trusting God.
Go ahead and break that.
You know what I'm saying? Because like we believe in God.
Yeah.
Some of us believe in God, but it's like you don't trust God though. You don't trust God. You don't trust that it's gonna be all good. You don't trust what God said because we feel like we got to be so stuck in self-reliance.
Right.
And I know for me, I've always believed in God, but it was like I was still heavily stuck in self-reliance. I got to get it done. If this gonna happen, I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to make sure payroll. I need to do this. I need to grind. I need to get up earlier. I need to stay up later. I need to do more. Boom, boom, boom. Take massive action. Blah, 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 blah. That's all me 100% self-reliance. Right? That ain't trusting God. Because trusting God is like, I sow my seed. This ain't saying you don't do anything, but this is me sowing my seed within the time that I'm supposed to do. And then I'm operating from rest because I know the harvest is actually up to God anyway. Yeah. So even how I do goals now, I don't even have like, I need to make X amount within this particular period because I don't got no control of that anyway. My only goals is we have an objective we're working towards, but it don't need to happen in a certain period of time because I don't got no control over that. Yeah. I only got control over the inputs. We don't got no control of how many subscribers we get on this show.
All right.
We only got control of us sitting down, carving out the time, shooting episodes. We don't got no control of how many people view it.
Right.
We don't got no control of how many comments we get. It's like I look, but it's like we ain't attached to it.
Right.
If we got 200 views, cool. It's 200 people that watched it, or most people who watched it multiple times. So win. We don't got no control of how many subscribers we got. It's gonna grow. It's gonna do what it's supposed to do. This us getting on here is a seed. Yep. And we giving up to God, and then God, well, let's see what you do with it. Right? So it's not like, so it's like with our events, it's like, all right, we're gonna do, our accelerator once a month. We're gonna do these events. We're gonna create this amount of content. We're gonna produce this amount of episodes. We're gonna send out this amount of emails. We're gonna create this amount of content for social media. This is our inputs. We don't really got no. We can manipulate, or we can maneuver those inputs a little bit to get to a specific, but we don't really got no control of the output.
Yeah.
So it's not like, hey, I need to hit this revenue goal in 90 days. Or I need to hit this revenue goal in 30 days. It's like that's self-reliance.
Yeah.
And it's also limiting what God can actually do. God can actually do exceedingly abundantly more than we ask or think.
Yeah. And we often put a leash
We put a leash on it.
And it's like,
Yep.
what does abundance really look like?
Exactly.
That's
It's our own understanding. We think this is abundance.
Yeah.
It's like, no, God, I'm sowing this seed of my gift that you've given me. I'm stewarding this gift.
Yeah.
I'm sowing it. Do what you want to do with it.
Yeah.
Because you already know what you want to do with it before you gave it to me anyway. I just got it from you.
Yep.
And then I'm thinking, I know what to do with it. But it's like, no, you already know what you wanted me to do with it.
Yep. And oftentimes we disobedient. And like I found out, like the next time we'll be blessed if we go back and take a look at the last time we were disobedient.
Yep.
And it's just like, this ain't happening for me. And it's just like, it's a simple backtrack.
Yep.
And that's where I found that for myself. So it's big.
We're just out of alignment.
Yeah.
Yeah, just out of alignment. Like even with today's shooting, we were supposed to start 2 hours earlier, but some of the stuff happened.
Yep.
And we didn't get started for like two. But neither of us. Remember I told you what I've been seeing?
111.
I told you I've been catching that. It's crazy. So that's crazy. I just told you that earlier today. that I've been saying 111 and 1111. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Especially as we're talking about this.
For sure.
So, because the 111, the 1 represents new beginning, right? So it's like, that's literally the phase of my life that I'm in, new beginning. It's like me when I turned 40, it almost was like, dang, bro, I'm getting up there. But in reality, it's like, my life is just beginning. Like, everything, new beginning. Everything I've done up until this point was literally just warm up. And my life just began. It was the beginning of the end.
That's perspective.
It's perspective.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what was that? What was the point I was making before I even saw that threw me off? But yeah, but the biggest thing is like us sowing the gift, getting out of the way, seeing what God gonna do, with the gift. And so that's been the biggest shift that you asked about in these specific seasons. Like, all right, God, our marriage is it's yours. Like, you do what you want. Like, my kids, they're your kids first. Right? You gave them to me to steward over them for a period of time. You know what I'm saying? Let me do what my part is, but it's like, the harvest is yours.
Yeah. For you, is there any way of stewarding wrong?
I don't think it's a stewarding wrong, because who can say what's wrong?
Right. I agree.
Like, Moses murdered a guy, and God still used him, and didn't even bring it back up. So is it to say, well, Moses murdered, we shouldn't murder? I mean, even then, though, the reality is, technically, we could argue that it was wrong for Moses to murder.
Right.
However, him murdering led to, and this ain't me justifying murder by any stretch of imagination, but we can say that him being murdered, the next time when he checked the other dudes for beating up the other Hebrews, the dude was like, hey, like, who are you? Are you going to kill me like
you did?
Like you did, buddy?
Yeah.
And then that caused him to run off because Pharaoh was like, all right, let's do him in. And he was at the well, met the ladies, helped them when the shepherds tried to, handle them the wrong way. That led him to meeting Jethro, one of the ladies, the girl's father. He gave his wife, his daughter, Zipporah, to him as a wife, and put him over shepherding. He started shepherding, and then while he was shepherding one day, he saw the burning bush, and God called him. Why you laugh, bro?
Bro, because I hope nobody's missing the fact that, like, in order to get where we want to go, in order to continue to gain God's glory and receiving His grace, like, we don't have to do anything to get God's grace. But in the thought process, it's like the shadows and the dark times, like they lead upon
100%.
and build the character development.
Bingo.
How to steward well. And it's just like, had this not happened, would you been pushed into, weighted into, strolled into the gift later on, like God's time?
Who's to say what's wrong?
Right.
It's like there was Joseph. He was almost killed, sold into slavery, got into Potiphar's house. The girl lied on him. He ended up in jail. Was the girl lying on him? Was it bad, or was it necessary? Right. So he went to jail, got over the jail. The cupbearer and the baker got out. The cupbearer ended up telling the Pharaoh about Joseph 2 years later. He brought him out. He translated the dreams. He put him over everything, Egypt. Years later, 7 years passed. They went into 7 years of famine. Now his father, they needed food where they were living. They heard it was in Egypt. They went down to Egypt. His brothers went down to Egypt. Joseph was over everything.
Put the whole family on.
Put the whole family on.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, was any of that wrong? People ask me, if you could go back and change anything, would you? Why?
Right.
Why would I?
Right.
Dropped out of high school, like, why would I?
That's good.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, it all was necessary. If you go back and change anything, you change everything. So who's to say? If you're in a place right now where you're healthy, you're watching this, or you're alive, If you're alive right now, even if you're not in the situation you want to be in, you're in a good situation, regardless. So everything that happened in life had to be good. So like, who's to say if it was wrong?
That's it. That's it.
It's just 100% based on perspective.
That's it. That's it. Change your mind, change your life.
That's it.
That's it. That's it. I appreciate it, bro. We're going to end it right there, because if that ain't a deep keynote to like leave off on, bro, that's good. Just like shifting the perspective, understanding, not even understanding everything that God has going on, but just going back to just go.
Go.
God is asking you just to go.
Yep.
He ain't telling you to have it figured out. He ain't telling you you had a blueprint.
Yep.
He's just asking you to move.
It's just, that goes back to trusting God. You got to trust God, though, and
That's
not
it.
just believe in God. You got to trust God.
That's it. So, appreciate it, my dog.
For sure. Hey, congratulations on making it to the end of the episode. If you enjoyed this episode, you definitely want to check out the next episode that we got, probably popping up on the screen right here somewhere. And also make sure you subscribe to this show, and also check in the description section. We got a ton of resources for you to actually implement a lot of the strategies and insights when we talk about building a business that can actually run without you. Go ahead and do that right now, and we'll see you in the next episode.